one red, pour out the Jameson for ancestors to swig.
You rescue me yet again. You put me first everywhere. You make me feel better than the mother dudes. You rescue me yet again. You put me first everywhere. You make me feel better than the mother dudes.
Sumer or Sumeria is still thought to be the birthplace of slavery, which grew out of Sumer into Greece and other parts of ancient Mesopotamia. The ancient East, specifically China and India, didn't adopt the practice of slavery until much later, as late as the Qin dynasty in 2021 BC. No. Maybe I should have been more specific. The concept of slavery in America. See, when you ask about who came up with it, they always go to the Mesopotamia. And see, I'm not about to go down the slavery rabbit hole, but you guys know what I'm saying. Pretty much Europeans industrialized slavery, made slavery something that it wasn't before. So when she says that, yes, slavery was in different parts of the world, absolutely. But not like the slavery here. The slavery here was brand new, something that was never done before. Let's move on.
Sold their own countrymen, even though it wasn't really a country. And the people with the emojis, Ash, can you help with that? It's just respectful, and we don't have that in the space, but just constant heckling.
Yeah.
So
yeah, guys, here's the thing. This is
difficult. Yeah, I mean, racism is definitely a thing about color, but slaves weren't chosen.
How is racism a thing without color?
And I don't think slave owners and tribes that sold their own people into slavery, I don't think they did it over color either.
Man, well, that historically, that's not correct, because over here in the early colonies, they absolutely made it color-based, and they were very explicit about slavery being color-based. And the white people who were indentured servants, they would be able to work out a contract, and they said that the black people, or the Moors, would have to be enslaved for life. So they absolutely made it on a color basis. And they codified it by saying that the children of black women will be enslaved. So it was explicitly based on color. In this country, when black people were trying to get out of slavery, and even when we were free, there were still black codes, and there were still laws that would keep us in a detrimented situation. So all of it was about race. And when you look at some of the documents and the laws in this country, and even the Constitution.
But I hate to say it, how can you be in 2023, white woman, and say it wasn't about race? That's crazy to me. And that's what I mean when I say, like, these Karens, they really, really be racist. Like, very racist. Like, they try to make it sound like either what we're saying, they try to say what we're saying is not true, or they try to act like slavery wasn't a big thing. They didn't benefit from it at all. There's no way, shape, or form their family didn't benefit at all. Like, this is crazy.
There's a famous passage saying that a black man has no rights that a white man is bound to respect. That was in the Supreme Court ruling. So it was very explicit about race. And we were targeted specifically as black people, as foundational black Americans. No other group was targeted like us.
Well, I mean, the East India Company took Irish first. That was before the African slave trade. But I really appreciate, we have got a lot of hands, but thank you so much for coming, and I appreciate it. And you can definitely get back, but let's let some other people respond.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. And the Irish were paid, by the way, just to throw that in there. So
yeah, so I don't know what that means. But I don't even want to know what that means. But I appreciate you coming. I will say one thing, if I may. The probably the most sound part, and you can take this as constructive criticism, I'm a strategist, probably the most sound part of what I heard you say was the economic factor, that it would incentivize the economy. I don't particularly agree with it, but it's an argument that's been made by other groups. It's an argument that's been made by several other groups, that if you that the money will trickle down the economy, right? So I did want to sort of give credit to that, but thank you for sharing. Not really comfortable with they will pay kind of thing, because I don't know what that's about. Like, I'm not down with that. But anyway, but I appreciate.
So before we go to the next person, can I just jump in, because I want to just kind of, there's 386 people listening to this space, a lot of folks who came in when we shifted the topic to reparations in San Francisco. This has been an incredible space. It's been very respectful. All of the speakers, I think, have
So first of all, Tariq, I you don't know me, but I am a co-host with Monica Matthews, and I know you did a very long space with her, and I heard it was very cordial. I got a little tense at times, so I just, it's a pleasure. I'm fascinated with you, man, honestly. Have at it, but my question for you, Tariq, is given that the foundational Black American...
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said. Can you say that again?
So I said I was going to withhold my personal judgment on reparations, because there's multiple proposals out there, some of which they just span a lot of different dollar amounts.
No, but about California, something after that.
Yeah, so I said that I am fascinated by this, and if it passed in California, San Francisco, or whatever, I would personally want to see California go bankrupt and split into multiple states, if that's what it takes.
Okay, so I live in California. Mm-hmm. I don't want to see that.
Okay, well,
I don't think that's American. I'm just going to tell you right now. I don't think it's American.
Let's see, once again, like, first off, he wasn't talking to you. That's first and foremost. Second of all, that's his opinion. You can't change his opinion. I don't think he cares if you think it's American or not. You know what I'm saying? Why don't you just let the man talk and get his point across? But you got to interrupt him because he said something that you don't like. This is what I consider that white privilege thing. Like, you gotta, I can't let you say anything, oh my God, I mean, what do you mean? You can't say that. I live in California. He can say what he can't say what he feels, what his opinion is. Isn't he there to express himself? Does he have to ask first? Hey, before I ask this question, I got to make sure, hey, you don't have any personal feelings towards California, do you? Because, I don't want to hurt your feelings and make you sad. I'm quite sure they said there's over 300 people in that room. I'm quite sure there's more people in that room that are probably like, yo, I don't want California to break up either. But once again, that's not what we're talking about here, and who cares? Who said anything about California ain't going nowhere at this point in time? That's not the name of the game. But maybe she got upset or got scared because she like, if they get reparations, they're going to break up the state? Oh my God, I can't have that. Man, listen, these Karens is crazy. BDS. Whoa. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know what happened to my Karen.
Much more the chance to co-host a space that all Black.
I want to ask you a couple of questions in California, San Francisco, or whatever. I would personally want to see California go bankrupt and split into multiple states. A quick question. So there's no debate that even in California, as we said, there are a number, and across the country, there are a number of foundational Black Americans that have spent tens of years of their life in prison for marijuana charges and other things. And we've seen the liberal left legalize marijuana, and now they're out there literally selling it, but these people are in jail still. right? And so, and have had their lives taken from them in many ways, in fatherless homes, and the repercussions of some of that stuff and whatever. My question for you is on two fronts. One, what is your opinion on the fact that they had to, I'm going to just say they had to include the $1,200 for trans people in order to justify it in liberal California? So what is your take on that being included, given the foundational Black American community is fairly conservative, socially speaking? And then
I'm going to cap it at one, Christopher, because it's not your interview. And a lot of people have had their hands up. I made Tariq wait a long time to speak.
Bro.
If
like,
you want to contribute, you're welcome. But let's let
I mean,
other
I understand
people
she might be
so
the moderator.
He can answer your question, but you're not interviewing him here.
Much.
So you've already interviewed him. We've heard. So go ahead, Tariq.
Okay. Yeah, Tariq. So that was my question for you, man. And it's a pleasure to be able to hear you respond.
Right. Well, the thing is, there's always a way or a culture about undermining us, foundational Black Americans. Anytime we're trying to get something tangible, they will go out of their way. And when I say they, I mean the government. They will go out of their way to incentivize and to legislate resources for other groups. They will focus on trans. They'll focus on immigrants. They'll focus on foreigners, people in other countries. They'll focus on the environment. Everything is all about ultimately undermining us. When it comes to giving us something, they have to say, hey, we'll get you next, but we have to prioritize these other groups. And I don't get into the liberal and the conservative thing, because it's all the same. It's two wings on the same bird. Non-political, whoever's giving the tangibles. If the Republicans are going to give us our reparations, I'll rock with the Republicans. If the liberals are going to do it, I rock with them. Anybody who's going to give us our tangibles, that's who I'm going to rock with. And foundational Black Americans deserve reparations, and we'll get reparations. It's the right thing to do, and that's the American thing to do.
Phenom, were you going to say something, or did you want to move to the next person?
I mean, I just think that we should just, there are a lot of programs. There are a lot of programs, specifically like loan programs, education programs, subsidized programs for Black Americans. So I hate when things are just put into kind of like a selling point instead of just like a genuine conversation, because I mean, it just sounds disingenuous to me. So, like saying things like built from scratch, that it was built on the backs of the slaves. I mean, many of us.
Your whiteness is intergenerational wealth.
Yeah. Like, I'm just sorry. Like, I had 0 ancestors with slaves. I had, I mean, it's become like a mythology almost.
So that is it.
And I don't think that's American. And so it's just like, I think that these need to be like real soulful, honest human to human conversations, but not like a talking point and not like a sales pitch, because, we're all human in here. We all struggle. We all have things in our family that we've had to overcome.